Here's how to build a study system for maximum results with science. I've spent time breaking down research on self-regulated learning into a simple loop framework, using which we will build your self-regulated study system step by step. But where is the problem in our current approach when we are willing to put in effort and already use multiple study tools to support our learning? The problem is, we treat learning like a linear flow. We start with putting effort into studying to get a result. When the result does not match our expectation, we put in more effort, thinking that more effort will produce the desired result. It might change, but not necessarily to desired one. So we add another input, study tools, like multiple note-taking apps, or various memorization techniques, or different online or offline resources. When we still don't get the result we want, we search for even more tools. We keep changing what we put into the system, but we do not examine why the results are not improving. After repeating this pattern, we begin to feel out of control and start associating learning with stress. But learning does not have to feel this way. According to research by Zimmerman on self-regulated learning, high-level achievement is based on a cyclic process, not a linear process. To build this, we modify our linear system in two ways. First, we introduce a strategy layer between input and study execution. This converts raw effort and random tools into strategic effort and strategic tools. Second, we add feedback from the output back to the strategy layer. We measure the result gap and send that information to the strategy layer. Based on the size and nature of the result gap, we adjust the strategy layer. This changes how the next study execution happens, which changes the next output. We measure the new result gap and adjust again. In this way, the system becomes self-correcting, which gradually reduces the result gap over time. But what exactly is in the strategy layer? It has 3 simple steps. Before we start constructing the strategy layer, let's run a small experiment on our brain. Can you find 5 English words hidden horizontally and vertically in this puzzle? You can pause the video and take your time. Now try another puzzle. Can you find word mission 5 times in this puzzle? You can pause the video and take your time. Okay, which one felt easier? Most learners take more time to count words in the first puzzle. Why? Because in the first puzzle, the goal was very broad. The brain was searching for any possible word, starting with any letter. But in the second puzzle, the search became targeted. The brain knew exactly what pattern to look for. So, instead of scanning every letter, it simply matched what it saw with a clear mental image. That made the task faster, easier, and far more efficient. This brings out an important cognitive principle. The brain performs better when the target is precisely specified. And this is the first and most important step, target clarity. We must know 2 things very clearly. What is our target and why we chose it? Knowing the clear reason strengthens our commitment and increases persistence when difficulty appears. How precisely should we define our target? For example, instead of saying, "I want to do well in this course," we define it like, "I want to consistently score above 85% on weekly quizzes." Or instead of saying, "I want to learn this language in 6 months," we define it more clearly. In the next 6 months, I will memorize all the vocabulary and grammar points of this language. Then we calculate precisely what the weekly target should be. If there are 3,000 new words and 100 grammar rules, the target would be to master 100 to 25 new words and 5 grammar rules every week. We can also define clear rules for processing what we learn. For example, whenever I study a concept, I will recall it aloud as if I am explaining it to a 10-year-old. When the target is clear, it becomes easy to divide it into smaller checkpoints. These checkpoints allow us to measure progress frequently, which later becomes the foundation of our feedback loop. The next step in this layer is priority mapping. Research shows that our short-term memory capacity is strictly limited. When it is filled with emotional stress or confusion, very little space is left for actual learning. When we clearly decide the sequence of our activities and prioritize how and what we study, we reduce this mental clutter. This frees more mental resources to focus on actual learning. So we organize priorities into 3 levels. First, we create a prioritized sequence of activities. Second, we prioritize how to study. And third, we prioritize what to study. Along with studying, many things take our time. We sleep, exercise, work, help at home, travel, spend time with family and friends, and so on. If poor sleep makes it difficult to focus, then sleep should come before forcing extra study time. Or, if someone has back pain from sitting too long, then stretching or exercising may be more important than adding another hour of sitting and studying. The idea is to stay away from emotional disruptions. Level 2 is deciding priorities in how we study. For example, our learning process includes attending lectures, making notes, practicing problems, testing our memory through active recall, revising through spaced repetition, and so on. So we ask a simple question: which study actions help me reach my target the most? For example, spaced repetition should come before making aesthetic notes, or solving more practice problems may deserve higher priority than reading the same topic from many different resources. Then comes level 3, which is deciding priorities. In what we study, we decide what subjects or topics deserve more attention. If our target is to build a competitive skill set for the job market, then we should give more time to core technical subjects that employers value, even if those subjects are difficult and don't always result in perfect grades. Or, if the target is to achieve a certain grade in school, then we should prioritize subjects where improving marks will increase our total grades the most. When we do this, our actions start happening in the right order. Instead of studying blindly, we spend our time on the things that actually move us closer to our goal. The first 2 steps of strategy layer converts our raw effort into a strategic effort. Now, the final step in this layer will convert study tools into strategic tools. Resource commitment. When information is everywhere and we can learn from endless resources like books, videos, courses, study apps, and many online sources, the challenge is not finding information, but it's filtering it. When we keep switching resources, our brain must rebuild context each time. Every book, teacher, or course explains ideas in a slightly different way. Because of this, our brain then spends time adjusting to the new structure instead of focusing on actual learning. So, we follow a simple rule. Take some time to explore different resources and choose the ones that match your target, your current level of knowledge, and the language you understand best. After you have built your brain's own understanding, you can explore other books or courses if you want to expand or compare ideas. Now that we have designed our strategy layer, the next step is to test whether it actually works. This is the second part of our system, the feedback loop. Remember, we already divided our big goal into small checkpoints in step 1 of the strategy layer. Each time we reach one checkpoint, that completes one study cycle. After each study cycle, we pause and ask 3 simple questions. Did I get the result I wanted? Was the result worth the effort I put in? And how did I feel during the cycle? If everything looks good, we continue with the same system. But if there is a result gap, low return for effort, or negative feelings like exhaustion or stress, it means something inside the strategy layer needs improvement. The problem is usually in one of these 3 steps. I have made a table for you to help with this process. It shows the problems you may face, the reason behind each problem in the strategy layer, what it means, and how to fix it. You can download these tables from the website dfog.online, or simply take a screenshot from this video and use them whenever you check your progress. They will help you quickly find what went wrong and what to improve next. Once we identify the cause, we fix it, continue to the next checkpoint, and test again. By repeating this process again and again, the system improves itself until your results become strong, consistent, and sustainable. You can find the complete system design step by step on the website dfog.online. Subscribe to the newsletter on the website to get updates and new tools that support your learning system. If you have any doubts or questions, feel free to send them through the website. The link is also in the description.